So I had an interesting dinner with he's a professional footballer here in Malaysia, and footballers often seem interested in the universe of trading, and he was too. I think it's because well, I hear that a lot of professional footballers like to gamble, so I guess trading has a gambling element to it, or at least it might feel that way. So he wanted to talk to me like properly. He wanted to ask me some questions because this is the second time we met, and he's like, oh, I'm really interested in trading, so like, can I ask you some stuff? I was like, sure. So I thought, if this is the kind of thing people are interested in, I can then do the questions that he asked me to you. So what did he want to know? Well, the first thing was, he was like, oh, must be cool to like be free of anything. So like, he's like, you can do it where you want, and that kind of thing. I was like, well, that's what people lead you to believe, but it's not entirely true, because you do need like your office. So when I do go on holiday, I have to work, I have to trade. Well, I say I have to. Yeah, I do have to, because I'm managing the portfolio, and it wouldn't be professional to not keep working. So I have managed to create my trading environment down to I could probably get away with 2 laptops, but I generally use 3. So yeah, I can do whatever I want. But as you've seen in some of these videos, the setup is not the greatest. You've seen me like put together tables to fit them on. The internet's not been great. I've had login issues because of where we are. When you need your 6-digit code by phone, they don't come through, that kind of thing. So yeah, in theory you can be anywhere, but in practice you cannot. You can do it for a short amount of time, like from anywhere, but really you need your, because you're sat there as well. Market hours are 9:30 till 4. That's a long time to be sat on the edge of a bed, or in a room where other people are doing stuff and you're trying to concentrate. So I would say it's kind of mobile, but not it's not ideal. And if you're like a intraday day trader, I don't think traveling like, oh, I could do this from anywhere, is realistic, because internet connections, your like setup, your mental state, because it is a high performance sport. The way you have to be when you're intraday day trading. My management of my portfolio, I've got it down to I could be anywhere with an internet connection in theory, but in practice it's difficult. The next bit is how much they wanted to know was kind of, how much can you make? Well, this is, I've talked in other videos how it's a business, and so you do need starting capital like you would need if you were starting any business, and I've run through that in numbers before. If you've got stock of 100,000 and you're turning that over and you make 10% on your stock and you sell all that stock in 3 months, how much that would be, how much profit that would be, your overheads, you can work it out, how much you'd make, and therefore how much capital you need. I wouldn't ever look at it as, oh, I risk 500, I make 1,500, and I do 4 trades and I'm 60. I would look at it more of a capital turnover amount that you need, because there's market conditions change, and there are many a dry spell where you're not making as much, and then there's periods of time where you have losing streaks, and then there's periods of time where you have golden streaks. The interesting thing about his questions were, a lot of them were mental based, like how do you feel, how do you cope? So and I guess he's relating it to football, and it was really interesting because, like he said, when you have a big day or a big win, like, do you celebrate? How do you celebrate? And I was like, if I have a really big day or a really big trade, you feel good, but I was like, I literally will close the trade go, oh, that was good. I won't say it, I'll like be thinking it, that's cool. And then I'm literally just on to the next trade. And yeah, there's no celebration, there's no nothing. And it's probably because you've already banked a whole bunch of losses, you've had terrible days, and like to have a good day is just almost like a whoo, thank the bejesus for that. So yeah, I was like, there's no celebration, you're literally just looking for the next one. And in the same way, on a massive drawdown, like we had quite a big crash in April, how do you cope with that? And I was like, well, those are difficult times, and you have to, when you stop for the day, he's like, you know, do you sleep? Can you sleep when you're like having a bad time? And I was like, yeah, no problem sleeping. I kind of have, I've tested my strategy enough to know that that crash is opportunity and market volatility is opportunity. So it's almost a good thing, because when you're in a crash and things are really hectic and really busy, the number of trades and the opportunity out there is like exponentially greater. So it's actually quite a good thing to have. What I guess the greatest fear is like in 08, that you have a complete collapse of the markets. If everyone stopped trading, if the brokers went out of business, that would be terrible. That's the worst thing that could happen. And 2008, I think people got close to that. So that's the worst one. But like a market crash on Trump's tariffs or whatever, that's all opportunity. So that's a good thing. When markets get quiet and go to all-time highs, it's not actually a great time. Your P&L's good, but the opportunities are dwindling. So it's almost counter to what you'd think. What else did he ask me? Oh, I kind of like the reality. And I was like, well, well, I was trying to explain to him the reality of, because, you know, they're like, oh, you know, you can do whatever you want, you just need internet connection. I was like, yeah, you know, but it's the reality of that. You can't trade on a lounger. In Asia, trading starts at 9:30. I've literally just got up. It's, so it finishes at 4 a.m. So I'm sleeping quite a bit in the morning. So, and this is day after day after day after day. It all sounds good, but in practice, waking up at like just before lunchtime kind of takes its toll, because you're up all night. So it's just talking about the reality of the situation and doing that day after day after day and not having a morning. Like if someone wanted to, there's a hiking group that goes at 7 in the morning. Unless I stayed up from 4, drove to the hike at 7, and then like slept later in the day, which would totally mess you up. You know, it does have its effect. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. He then was like, you know, can anyone do this? And I believe that on paper, this is once again the reality, that anyone should be able to learn to trade, but it's just simply not true. And I said to him, you know, can anyone be a pro footballer? And he's like, well, yeah, same thing. In theory, yeah, but in practice, he's like, no, it's just a grind. We then were like comparing. He's like the self-discipline to that he's now mid-30s, so he's coming to the end of his career, and he's like, I keep saying like, he's like, he's got his lifestyle drilled down. So he eats like the same meals, he trains the same way, his recovery is drilled down to be very specific for his longevity, and he sleeps at the same time, he practices the same stuff, and it's day after day after day after day. And people like the idea of being a pro footballer, but the reality of training that hard, being that self-disciplined, he's got, I would say, some natural physical helping hands, but it's all come through hard work and discipline. And trading, having tried to help people before trade, they lasted days before they quit, literally days, not even like a week, not even a month. I showed them what to do, got them up and running, put their first trades on, and within a day or two they're like, I can't do this. It was weird. Their longevity at the business, I don't know, they just seemed crushed. So no, it wasn't anyone can do this, but if anyone can, I'd say someone that's been a professional at something probably would be like a duck to water. Do you ever panic? Well, I guess because I've been doing this so long, the answer is no. Back in the day, did I panic? No. No, I don't think there's any need for a panic in trading. I think once you know what you're doing and you've got a plan set out, there's no panic. How much do you try to make? Well, again, I've got this all. You can kind of work it out, and you really should work it out. So I'm tracking somewhere around 23-24%. Yeah, that's it's as simple answer as that. I try and make. I'm on 23%, but it should click up to 24%. Once, well, no, that's just it. It should be 24%. Do you ever want to put it all on one thing? No. So he's like, basically, do you ever want to gamble it? And the answer is no. It's taken me a few decades to get to where I am, and managing the portfolio is what I want to do. So aggressively trading that portfolio is the incremental trading strategy I've got to. That it doesn't really cross my mind to put on like a big bet. That wouldn't. I don't think I'm a gambler at all. I think traders aren't gamblers. We might gamble on something just because we're used to, placing trades, but we don't have a gambler's mindset, even though that's our job, if that makes any sense. And then the next one is, he's like, when will you stop? And he's like, and this was, someone had joined us by this time. He's like, when's enough? And I was like, well, that's again, obviously I in my mind have a number that I think is enough to like retire on. But I actually enjoy trading, and I think when people if you don't like your job, maybe there isn't enough where you just retire effectively. And trading, there isn't enough, but it's funny when you're earning, and he's about to do the same. He's about to start a whole new venture, whereas he could, I think, in effect retire. But he's propelling again, because what you find is there's certain things both him and I want to accomplish, and it does require more money that we don't have. So I think your world keeps growing. The more you have, you actually realize, I actually could do with a little bit more. For he's setting up this whole thing, and it costs money, and obviously if he was going to replicate it, that costs money. You can borrow and this kind of thing, but it's better. The more you have of your own, the better, in terms of what he's trying to set up as a business. And for me, I've got kids, they're in school, I've got school fees, I've got university to pay for, I've got all this stuff on the horizon that right now they'll drain me dry, so there's never enough. I think that's kind of it. That's the crux of what he wanted to know, and I hope that's been useful. All right, that's it.